Who? Do we know? I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I see special board meeting.
47.
Are they on?
Is it in the agenda?
Oh, it's in the agenda. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. All right. Now, Robert?
What is that now? I said it to her, he said it to her.
We're trying to get the meetings so that we have them on YouTube and we have them live, and so just causing a little delay. I apologize.
Wait 1 second.
Sure.
Live window.
Pardon me?
I lost the YouTube live window and I shared that.
We were waiting for Rachel, actually.
That would be a good time.
We really were, but it's perfect.
We are good to go.
Oh.
The report, let me know.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call the order of Special Board of Education meeting Tuesday, September 28th at 6:30. And please stand for the pledge. Roll call, starting Scott.
Mike Kusa.
Nicole Libby McGrath. Debbie Sherman.
Stephanie Miller.
Joseph Matisovich.
Tom Rowski.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes. Deb,
Motion to approve the June 8th, 2021 regular Board of Ed meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? I'm gonna give you a sec, Steve.
No, you're okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Oh, June 8th, regular Board of Education.
Okay, approved.
Motion carries. Okay. Deb?
Motion to approve the September 14th, 2021 regular Board of Education meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a couple corrections. Yeah, sure. Yeah, the superintendent report should be Dr. Miller, document minutes, it just needs to be changed. And I think the other change was taken care of. You have the call to order, change it to Shelley Lacey Castle instead of Stephanie. And then also it has that Dr. McKinnon was present, he was not.
Oh,
And that Sylvia Olet was there and, but she's not listed.
I'm not supposed to list her.
have that, Jackie? I just saw her for a second.
If you there, should give thumbs up.
Okay. Any other changes?
Report of chair should be Shelley Lacey Castle and I. Okay, but I mean, it says report of chair and then it says S. Miller. which you
But
weren't
then
there.
doesn't it say there's no report until?
Nothing to report until Stephanie returns.
Right, so just take my name off.
Simple as that. Okay, why am I not?
Anything else? Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same. Motion carries. Okay, audience of citizens. You don't necessarily. Oh, you want me to? Okay. Just for a point of reference, I know one of the things that is on people's mind are the quarantine protocols and the quarantine student protocols. And just so that you know, Dr. Miller is going to address that in his report of the superintendent. So you're welcome to speak. You're welcome to speak your mind on whatever you're here about, but I just want you to know that it will be addressed during his report. So, Alicia?
I'm here.
Sure. Alicia Martin, is that it?
Hi, I'm Alicia Martin, Gulfport, Kentucky. Probably all remember me from the last 4 meetings. I'm also the person who's been sending you lovely emails about school masking and school choice. I'm just here as a gentle reminder that there are still a lot of parents here in Oxford who support parent choice. I believe that every single person has the ability to make their own decisions when it comes to their children. All right, so I'm number one, and not in favor of masking my child. We know statistically speaking, children under 18 are not at risk. This is directly from Connecticut's COVID tracker. The positivity rate here in Connecticut is 2.83%. There are 259 people hospitalized. The new cases in 7 days were 2,032. Of those non-vaccinated, 1,424, or 70%. Vaccinated cases were 608, or 30%. I want you to keep that in mind when you're making decisions when coming to quarantine. Since the start of this pandemic, confirmed deaths were under 60 were 617 of 7,049. So put that into perspective. Children are not at risk. Per CDC, 99.997% survival rate. We are masking our children for no reason at all. People who want to be vaccinated are vaccinated. What are we doing to our kids? And just here's another little tidbit. For the flu season, 2017 to 2018, 14,382 cases of the flu in Connecticut with 184 deaths. In 18 to 19, 10,619 with 88 deaths. In 2021, there were 181 cases of flu. That's what I have to say. I believe that, you know, if you want to wear masks, it's absolutely fine. Protect your children. We know the populations are at risk. Kids are not at risk. Our teachers, feel free, wear masks. Give our kids mask breaks. That's fine, but please just take this into consideration. I know a lot of this is out of your control. I know it's coming from the state down, but at a local level, I'm just pleading with you to work with us, make something happen. We are frustrated. Our kids aren't happy. This is not the new normal. I refuse to accept it.
Sure.
Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you. Do you mind coming a little forward, please? Wherever you're comfortable. Actually, front and center.
No, I won't do that. I'm Christy Zawistowski. Dr. Miller and I had a few conversations over the weekend. I personally do not have a child affected with vaccine versus unvaccinated. My son will be in that age group this upcoming year. He's in 6th grade. I just honestly, after hearing what went down this past weekend and how everything was handled with, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2 vaccinated children tested positive for COVID. If you were vaccinated, you did not have to quarantine. If you were not vaccinated, you had to quarantine. Therefore, we isolated this 59 group of children and told them, we're going to tell everybody in our district, all these other kids, everybody else, that you are not vaccinated. So if you play on the football team and we have to forfeit this year, you're now many words to the other kids on the football team because we've outed you. We've let them know, and they're vaccinated and you are not vaccinated. If you're on the volleyball team and you're not vaccinated, now your peers know. Our kids deal with them. They are in high school, they're in middle school, COVID, the mental and emotional struggles that our kids deal with on a day-to-day is already so big. We're now isolating them. We're now secluding them. We're now telling all of their peers, You chose this very personal decision. And now you ruined this game for us this weekend because you made this very personal decision. We can't play in this game. It's not fair. It's not right. I understand, Tom Brock, Board of Health Director. I get where you're getting your direction from. Lead us. Help us fight the fight. I don't expect you to change it. I know it's out of your hands. We want to change it. Most of the people here want change. I will not accept this. I have 5 kids coming up and through our school. Mikey, my oldest, he's 11. I have a 9-year-old. I have a 4-year-old. I have 2 twin-year-old, 2-year-olds. I will not vaccinate my children. It is a personal opinion of mine. What's next? Are we going to, and maybe this is not politically correct for me to say it, are you going to put an HPV vaccination sign outside of the nurse's office and let kids know who got there? It's personal. It's supposed to be personal. It's not supposed to be for other kids to know. It's not supposed to be yet another thing that segregates children. It's not. Separate cafeterias, is that next? Separate class waves, separate sports teams. I mean, it's a pattern, and it's only going to roll out into more patterns if we don't fight it. Let's be the first district in Connecticut that says enough is enough. We need you guys to help us fight this battle. We don't know where to go. We come to you. They're our kids, but they're your kids. Protect them. They count on you. We're throwing them under the bus. The mental health rates are through the roof. They can't even keep up with them. You can't even get appointments for mental health right now. This is just another thing that these poor kids are gonna have to fight. It's not fair. It's just not fair. It's not fair.
I hear you. Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak? Oh, sure. Come on up.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
My name's Gina. And actually, I have a son who is one of the children that was exposed at the high school. However, he is vaccinated and he gets to go to school. I personally am against vaccinations, it's actually my stepson. We'll get into that whole personal thing, but anyway, I'm still against what the district is doing, what we're doing about this. Because it's not fair. It's not fair to say you can go to school and you can't go to school. Again, what happens next? Now, personally, yeah, it worked out. I don't have to worry about him doing his schoolwork or whatever because he's able to go to school. But his friends that aren't, and he's sitting there asking us, why do I get to go to school just because I got a shot, but the kids that expose us had shots. So how is that different? And I don't really have an answer to that. So I'm kind of asking you, what is the answer to that?
Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing.
This is a rebuttal, I think. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
In addition to these kids being quarantined, from what I gather, there's no virtual learning. They're given a packet. They're given a packet for 10 days saying, teach yourself, come back to school in 10 days, you won't fall behind. Somebody like my son who can't necessarily teach himself, he's 11 and he's a boy, he's not going to teach himself, let's be realistic. If we're gonna quarantine these kids, we need a plan. We need virtual learning. You quarantine 59 kids. 59 kids just have to teach themselves. There's no teachers, there's no online learning, there's no virtual. But come back to school and you will be responsible for all that you missed. So now, again, we push them off to the side. They have feelings, some of them may have gotten picked on by their peers. Now it's up to you to pick up where you started 10 days later and make up all this 10. It's 2 weeks of work. That's multiple tests, that's multiple things. It's 2 weeks, it's too long. And if they're gonna be vaccinated, let's let but the whole class closed down for 2 weeks. And everybody still pick up from where you left off. Let everybody be in the same boat. It's not fair.
I really think that you'll get a lot of your answers once we hear Dr. Miller's clarification on all of that, but thank you. Anybody else? Okay. And next, correspondence.
There was an email that the board received about quarantine and it'll be addressed with Dr.
So we have some special guests here today, Oxford Middle School students. And if you wouldn't mind coming forward. Well, actually, no, you don't have to come forward yet. Maybe we'll show. These students did an amazing job. Their teacher is here. She's still here, Mrs. Gibbons. Do you want to just say what we have some special guests here today? That's great. And if you wouldn't mind coming forward. Well, actually, no, you don't have to come forward yet. Maybe we'll show. These students did an amazing job. Their teachers here. She's still here, Mrs. Gibbons. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm gonna go get a voice lesson. Okay, so you're not doing that yet, right? Yes, yes.
Now it's just being ready. Okay, go ahead.
So, Mrs. Gibbons, believe me, this is planned. Can you just tell what the assignment was and
Sure.
and then we'll show your students fantastic work and then we can maybe hear from them on how they went about it.
Okay, so I'm a science teacher at the middle school. I've been teaching in the district for about 25 years, mostly 8th grade. So I have 4 of my 8th grade students with me here today. I like to start off the year in science by doing a project called the Scientific Method Song. The rubric is very simple. They have to work in groups. They have to demonstrate, they have to write lyrics. They have to demonstrate that they understand the scientific method. They have to recite the lyrics, not necessarily sing, but just to be able to recite it like a poem or a song, or just some kids that are really shy, they just get up and read the lyrics. They could get 100 if they just kind of follow that rubric, but I always encourage them to get creative. Why don't you try singing? Why don't you try dancing? Why don't you try crafts, costumes? All right, so, once in a while the kids will say, yeah, sure, we'll try that. So I don't even know how to say it. In all my years of teaching, I've never seen such effort put into this project, or any project for that matter. And it's not just the effort, it's like the talent. It's like raw talent and I can't even explain how much I love this project and what a great job they did. It's gonna speak on its own because you're gonna see it in just a second. And I know Mr. Hibbert, he was our principal still, so he helped with just helping us out with the building and all. So it really showcases our beautiful new building as well.
It's fine.
So I don't even know what to say. You will be blown away by this talent and the skill and the effort that these girls put into their scientific method song.
Thank you, Mrs. Gibbons.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
We don't have to sing this, right? Presenting you with the scientific method. It's Kirsten. It's Emma. It's Addison.
Audio just changed.
We are in that 1,000 today, Dr. Miller.
It's Addison.
Audio.
It happened the moment you did full screen. I don't know if you did that.
Curiosity, call it educated. The experience with data from the team. We all got it.
say. Write the answers down, let her tighten like a shoelace. So in conclusion, be accepted. How to go down. I'm a bit too. Gotta make it clear. It's a thing, but it's like keep method. I can't change words, maybe for a question. Let's pick your brain. Formalize the process, guessing my thing. It's a lot of curiosity, call it educated. There's experiments with data from the team. We all got a job to do, so no one is to blame. Like a song from the scientific method. That's the science method. So great, so great, so great.
Would anybody like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but anyone who participated in that, just like to kind of tell us how you went about it, how it came about? You worked so beautifully together, and you can just give me a thumbs down if no one wants to talk. Not putting you on the spot, but I am. Okay, that's all right. Your work speaks for itself. It honestly does. Wonderful job. So if you don't mind just coming up and.
And I'm just going to say something for the picture.
Oh, sure.
You know, as educators, we're always looking for opportunities to engage students in real authentic ways, to then be able to demonstrate their understanding of content, be thoroughly engaged and want to be participating. And clearly you saw that these students were very motivated and very creative and very innovative in their approach in this content. So thank you for creating learning opportunities. And students, thank you for really being all in on this. It's exciting to watch. Thank you.
Complete your education, but I think you might have some music, talents in the future. Yeah. So, Anna Dressel. Rhea Jensen. Addison Nielsen. Last but not least, Kirsten Contour. The four of you in front of us, tall people, although you're as tall as I am. And then you can take a picture if your family wants to do that for your wonderful accomplishment. You can Photoshop me a little bit, I appreciate it. Stop laughing. Okay, wonderful job, Rose. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Okay, great to see you. That's what we're here for. School improvement plans. Rachel, number one.
So just before Rachel begins, for the audience, every year, each school is asked to create a school improvement plan. That plan is a one-year focus on where we currently are at today and how we are trying to reach our goals by the end of the school year. That plan ties to school goals and it floats down to what the teachers work on at teacher level. And it's common practice for the principals to share these school improvement plans to the board around this time of the year. So it's nice. Quaker Farm Center School, at the next meeting, the middle school and high school will be presenting their plans as well. So, yes.
Hello, should I sit? If I sit, stand, I don't need to look at that.
I'm going to look at it on my computer, so I say however you're most comfortable.
Nice to meet in person.
Yes.
We had a wonderful year. Finally, we started with 385 students enrolled. We came to. I wanted just to first thank the board for adding additional safety teachers, AM and PM, so it's working out wonderfully.
Also, thank you again for the support of our kindergarten teachers. Obviously, as you know, we had an influx of kindergartners. So we're currently at 141 kindergarten students. The class size is approximately 21, and that is with 7 sections. Our first grade is at about 109, about class average of 18, and second grade at 117 with class average of 1. So our primary focus is to meet the whole child. So as we enter kindergarten, we hope to meet all of their needs, both academically, socially, and emotionally. We obviously value achievement, respect, kindness, and diversity, not only within our building, but within the community at large. In partnership with our families, our goal is to encourage all students to become lifelong learners and contributing members of society. Our core beliefs are and always will be staff collaboration, making Quaker Farm School strong, along with parental involvement. We believe that all students can learn. We share responsibility for all students when they enter our building. We encourage student engagement and differentiation are key to all student success. And once again, a strong connection, whether it's between staff, teacher to student, home to school, are paramount to our growth and achievement in all areas. Overall, student service. All of our decisions that we make at Quaker Farm are student-centered. For our school improvement plan, we're going to focus on 4 key buckets. So the information that I'll share with you in a brief overall basically talks about implementing high-impact instructional strategies, improving student learning outcomes in all academic areas, specifically in reading and math, improving and using high-quality feedback to staff, and implementing a rigorous social-emotional learning program, which we have started, Ruler, to meet and support all of our social-emotional needs of all of our students. So speaking in regards to the buckets, the first one is implementing high-impact instructional strategies. In order to promote the maximum potential for student learning, teachers will utilize 6 high-impact instructional strategies during all lessons. In order to accomplish that, we certainly will provide an overview, clarify, and discuss best practices in regards to implementing those high instructional strategies. First instructional strategy that we will focus on is learning intentions, which is our learning targets for today. So for every lesson, teachers will post what the learning target is for that lesson. We will then provide success criteria where students will know what is expected of them, and we will post that success criteria to each lesson so students are aware, and whether it's a picture for our little ones who can't read, it might be a rubric, it might be just simple words, but again, that success criteria and learning target will be posted for all lessons. Students will engage in self-assessment opportunities, and that kind of sounds a little bit hard for our kindergartners who are obviously learning in their 4. So we say, self-assessment, what does that really mean? For our kindergartners, it might be a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. It might be a smiley face or a sad face if they're not sure exactly what's going on. Just something that they can self-assess themselves as to what they're learning and if they're understanding what is being taught. The next strategy will be classroom discussions, whether it's teacher-led, student-led, student-to-student discussions, such as turn and talk. So we will see that a lot in the lower elementary grade where kids are just turning and talking, or we call it pair and share, and they're talking about whatever the objective or the target lesson is for that day. Providing evidence of higher order thinking questions, we call those hot questions, really kind of going above the who, what, where, and why. The why piece being the biggest piece for our little ones. Providing that information is very, very essential. Providing feedback. So as I go into observations, both informal and formal observations, providing feedback to teachers on how successful those 6 high impact instructional strategies are. So providing evidence, discussing that with the classroom teachers during those informal and formal observations, as well as walkthroughs. Any questions about getting those 6 instructional strategies? I know I'm kind of talking fast.
No, it's okay. It was great that we got it in advance, so most of us were able to look at it, so.
And Dr.
Feel
Moses,
free to
I try to
move
keep it
along.
quick, but I can keep walking, so I keep talking this stuff. Our next priority is improving student learning outcomes. To improve and increase the student academic achievement and growth throughout the year is essential and our highest priority. Our first goal is to implement our new illustrative math program with Fidelity. So the teachers have really done a wonderful job, implementing this new program. Again, I feel like even in school for a very long time, it's only been 18 days because I had to count. So 18 days is not really that long. And the program has really been a huge hit with both staff as well as students. Students are fully engaged in a lesson, lots of hands-on activities, lots of group discussion, lots of discourse between students. I do encourage you to come in and visit a math lesson because it would probably blow your minds to see kindergartners versus second graders just engaging in the level of math that they are. And the math program is just at this point, for me, it looks superb. We have our new math coach, so also thank you so much for that. Aaron has been wonderful at going into classrooms, providing a schedule, assisting the classroom teachers going in there daily. I'm providing a schedule, it does a grade level each week, so K is 1 full week. He's literally going in and co-teaching and modeling lessons, watching teachers, getting that feedback. It's informal, it's not a guidance, it's to help and to provide that constructive feedback. But he's been an absolute delight to have at the front. So again, thank you so much for that support. He's implementing something, Sim going off target now, going off tangent. He's implementing a number of the weeks. So we talk about it during our morning announcements. There's posters all over the building. So the number of the week this week is number 16. And when he's doing bus week, he's holding up bus numbers, and if it's bus 7, and he's asking if okay, what 2 numbers equal the number 7. So he's just been a wonderful asset to Quaker Farms. Put that little pivot there as well. We've already created, and within those 18 days, we've already created math pacing guides for the illustrative math. So I have them already here, K1 and 2. This is the unit, all the different sections in the unit, the lessons. So for example, unit 1, Math in Our World, all the different sections are listed, how many lessons, and then the dates. We're trying to keep this on track because again, we're pushing that rigor. We want teachers to obviously implement and follow as needed. There's checkpoint data, so we have checkpoint assessments, certain dates are listed. The end of the unit assessment uses this way, it keeps everybody on track. Constantly going over that during grade level meetings, making sure everybody's on the right page, following that pacing guide. So grades K1 and 2 pacing guides have already been created for literally for the whole year. And certainly it's a working document, it can certainly change, but that's a huge accomplishment within these committees. In regards to other pacing guides, certainly we're updating all of our pacing guides just to kind of see where things are and where we need to get them. So looking at our writing pacing guides, our reading, our foundation program, so updating those as needed. As you all know, we're moving from STAR assessment to iReady. So as part of improving student learning outcomes, iReady has a very special piece that STAR and NW never really had. It's called personalized instruction, where actually kids can get onto iReady based on their diagnostic assessment, which we will take in the month of October. And they almost have a planned program just for them. So my daughter uses it, and she has it, because she might work on it at home, she might work on it during school, but it's personalized to her learning goals and strengths based on the diagnostic. So certainly definitely utilize that piece. Again, talk about utilizing grade level and staff meetings, we talk about our student learning outcomes. Our data teams are very, very important. We do them weekly. And again, also reviewing and revising our SRBI process. And I has hired Donna Morelli to work with us and she learning that occur just to kind of keep us all together and make sure that we'll all find best practice when it comes to SRBI. As I mentioned, the iReady, I don't know how much information you know about iReady, but it is a reading and math assessment. It's done on a computer. It's adaptive, so basically it will start off kids at 1 year lower than their average grade. So third and second grade will start off at the first grade level, and as they get more answers correct, the questions get a little harder. As they get answers wrong, the questions obviously become a little bit easier. Our first and second graders will take that assessment 3 times a year, beginning in October. Our kindergartners will start in January. So typically it's an October, a January, and a May administration, with the exception of kindergarten. The reading assesses phonics, phonological awareness, high frequency words, vocabulary, and comprehension literature. And the mathematics assesses algebra, algebraic reasoning, numbers and operations, geometry, measure, and data. As I mentioned, it does deliver a learning class based on that assessment called iReady Personalized Instruction. It has tools for teacher instruction, it has learning games, it has a teacher toolbox. It's great for our interventionists because it literally breaks down every specific skill by domain. So literally every domain that's tested will get a specific grade level. So there's 3 colors, green, yellow, and red. Green will let us know that they're on or above grade level. Yellow means that they might be one grade level below, and red 2 or more grade levels below. But it's literally to give everyone, every student that takes a personalized learning path for instruction. So we're hoping to see some great gains with that. We also will use the benchmark assessment, or VAS, which is our Hodgson Pinnell reading assessment. And it determines students in both independent instructional reading levels. Teachers are able to observe student reading behaviors one-on-one, so it is administered one-on-one with every student. And we'll engage in comprehensive conversations that will be on simple detail, and there's that higher order of thinking in those top questions. It's used to check reading accuracy, self-correction, fluency, and comprehension of both fiction and nonfiction text, depending on the grade and how far students will go. But again, we think kids for better reading is really essential. So we want to make sure that we do things according to their reading ability, and we will certainly utilize the VAS, and we will administer that 3 times a year, with kindergarten being 2 times a year. So again, currently we're undergoing all of our baseline assessments right now, and we'll have a lot of great data to obviously move forward with. And then we will continue to use our unit and the unit curriculum based assessments such as foundations, our math program, our writing prompts, trick words, etc. So like I said, we're going through all of our baselines right now. Any questions on those areas? And then our third bucket is high quality feedback to faculty. So in order to promote a culture of continuous improvement and maximize the potential for high quality instruction, all teachers will be provided with high quality feedback. Administrators, we have gone through some training with Patrick Flynn throughout the school, and hopefully will continue throughout the school year to improve our observational skills and ability to provide that effective and meaningful feedback to staff. Doing informal and formal observations, we will use a Plan, Connect, Action framework. So kind of changing the way that we evaluate the teachers, just basically in the framework. So utilizing the Plan, Connect, Action framework is something that we're going to be working on throughout the school year, along with Patrick Flynn and the administrative team. When I say Plan, Connect, Action, you might be saying, what does that mean? Plan really relates to a specific objective attribute in the Common Core teaching standard. So stating a claim, after observing a teacher, you state a claim, and you connect it to something that you observe that's very objective. It can be qualitative data, quantitative data. There's lots of different things you're looking for when you're doing an observation. And then providing an action, something that you want the teacher to work on or to improve upon to support that teacher's growth and that teacher's improvement practice. Also encouraging staff to observe other staff. I know it's a little more difficult because of obviously COVID restrictions and the fact that subs could be an issue, but we also talk about videotaping other teachers and just having a conversation and watching other teachers teach. You get so much from just, and again, not evaluative, but you get so much information from observing one another and talking about and bringing back that feedback and sharing ideas. And I think it's, and we don't do enough of that in the district, and I've been here quite some time. So I think really encouraging staff to observe other teachers because everyone is doing such great things that I don't really see them all of those great things. And obviously engaging in grade level and school level discussions where feedback is shared, again, really trying to promote teacher and staff growth along with administrative growth. Any questions on that? And our last topic is improving social and emotional learning. That basically is our older approach and really focusing on the social and emotional needs of students. The kind of refresh your memory, ruler, as the R is recognizing emotions in ourselves and others. Do you understand the causes and consequences of our emotions? Labeling emotions accurately, E, expressing emotions appropriately, R, regulating our emotions effectively. And we do that through a variety of ways. Right now, we're in the process of creating classroom charters. It's how do you want to feel at school? How do you want to feel in our classroom? How will we help each other feel those feelings? We're in the process of creating a staff charter. Just the staff. How do staff want to feel in our building? How do staff want to feel when they come to work? And then doing that in the classroom. And last year it was so hard because things were up and down and in and out. We did create them, but did we really utilize them to the full extent? Probably not because of the inconsistency. So we are currently working on creating a school-wide charter as well as a classroom charter. And you probably heard before, we also introduced the mood meter tool. It's talking about how students are feeling at certain points in the day. We check in every day at least once with the kiddos. They might just do it on their own personal mood reader. It's not something that is shared with the whole class. They could share with the class if they choose to, but again, it's more personal for them. And again, the morning mood might be different than an afternoon or at the end of the day. So we learn them about the mood reader. We also use the Meta Moment, which is Sense Plus, See Your Best Self, and Strategies and App, how to handle situations that are uncomfortable. And then using the blueprint, which is asking questions as a guide for reflecting on thoughts and emotions during conflict. So we tend to use that a lot during recess time if there's a conflict outside or if there's a bus issue. So we continue to see areas that seem to have the most issues because of the least structure for kiddos. Also having our social worker and school psychologist will be leading and teaching some ruler lessons in the classroom, grades 2. Currently, our book room is being supplied with lots of social emotional well-being books that go along with lots of those ruler lessons. So we're working on creating that book room. Staff trainings and parent information will be shared throughout the school year. And then we'll look at parent and staff survey results. Focusing on one question: the school is a safe place for my child physically and emotionally. That was a question that went out just a couple weeks ago, and it came back at, which was great. It came back at 95%. So I was like, well, maybe I'll try to move that up to 98%. Which is a great start. So we want to obviously continue that positive path. Any questions? I know that was just kind of a lot to put out there, but really focusing on those 4 key areas. And like I said, with iReady and with our new math program, those are 2 huge goals to tackle in a school year, and we're looking forward to doing that. And the kids have adjusted really well. Besides the cafeteria and lunchtime, that was a little crazy. So we're finally getting to the hang of eating in the cafeteria. So we're very excited, and the kids are very, very happy. The staff are excited with our new initiatives. I think we're in a really good place. So I appreciate all of your support.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Cookies? No, self-explanatory here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I love the learning objectives and the SMART goals. So, team. We can reach them. Do you have keys to?
Yeah, so I always seem to get the distinction of following.
Well, she explains it so well.
Does an awesome job.
Yeah.
And, you know, on one hand, it's a challenge, but it's also that I'm not going to repeat many of the things.
Sure.
That are like that.
Understood.
I didn't say be quick, I said be thorough. So just a commercial break. This is the mood meter, right? You know, if you don't remember, you've never seen it. So yellow is high energy, positive feelings. Green is low energy, but still positive. Red on top, not feel good, high energy, negative feelings, low energy. So this is what students are looking at on smart boards in the classroom and all of things like that. I'm going to hold it down now because I'm going to be less than 15 minutes of socialization.
Thank you. Now you can hear.
Yes. Just a quick overview. Refer to the first page. You know, Oxford Center School has always been about self-training and children learning medicine by time here. Actually, that was a model that was in place prior to me arriving at Center School. We've carried through with that. We're committed to the whole child through academic excellence, parent community involvement, social emotional learning, and authentic and meaningful opportunities. What I'm talking about that is stuff that if you've been involved with Center School at all, you recognize that student clubs, the arts, town meetings, student government, things like that are opportunities that, you know, encourage kids, engage kids to come to school. They may not want to come to school, sit in their desk in the regular classroom, but they're going to get up in the morning to go to school so they can be part of the choir, or because they're going to have some sort of role in the town meeting. So we're looking to connect kids in any way possible. Unfortunately, that's been limited in the past year and a half due to some of the things that we've had to deal with that are COVID related. So, you know, we've made a concerted effort, as has the district, with regard to COVID protocol, social emotional learning, and using technology in many, many ways in order to maintain and continue the process. That being said, we know that the new saying that we hear, emergency to urgency is the new term, in the sense that we know the kids have lost ground in the past year and a half. You know, make up that ground loss has compounding effects. Something glad you recognize that some of these learning goals and objectives and outcomes are high, and they should be high, because we want to return to pre-COVID terms, but we also need to be realistic about things. That's why. Just a couple of words I want to kind of bring out in the next paragraph. Well, actually, move back up to there. What we're looking to do now is to take our pre-COVID best practices workshop model, inquiry-based instruction, and we're looking to integrate that with the things that we learned over the past year. So lemons and lemonade, right? The stuff that we learned about how to integrate technology. We had basically 10 years of professional development with regard to technology in the course of 3 months. So we're looking to integrate those things. We have the growth mindset. What was troubling a year ago is not troubling now. And that growth mindset really needs to have a flavor of aspire and inspire, because we need to address this urgency to emergency concept. So we're going to do that with a mindset of continuous growth. Aspire and inspire are two important things. Other words that are important in this overview is nurturing, positive school climate, collaboration, balanced approach, rigor. Again, back to those real world experiences, what makes kids want to come to school. And that continuous improvement. We're concerted effort. This is another slogan I refer to often. Is the concerted effort equals desired results. And we've seen that pre-COVID, and we need to continue to capitalize that at this point. So the 4 buckets that Rachel referred to are the same at center school as they are across the district. So I'm not going to go into that. I'll turn to taking a look at strategic priority. The first one that I have in the document, which is different than Rachel's, and it's just because of the way my mind works.
I'm sorry, what page are you on?
Page 2. So I put the improving student learning outcomes as the #1 priority, because it's all about kids. Right now, our #1 priority is to be that closing these gaps, helping kids move forward in learning. And we know that in order to do that, we have to have high impact instructional strategies. We know we have to have good feedback in the feedback process. We know that we need to support that with a safety net of social emotional learning. So I kind of put that up front because it has it's the message that I want to send to all stakeholders. One of the things that we're getting back on track with is pacing guides. During COVID, we had to pick our battles. We did not cover as much. We had in years past, and we need to get back to covering material and doing it well. So we're readjusting ourselves with regard to pacing guides and assessment calendars. Obviously, our new math program, illustrative math, is part of that. I can't tell you how ready our teachers were for that new math program, this inquiry-based approach. They are off to a very positive, embracing it. I think it was an awesome move. And #1, second Rachel, with regard to the math book position, is just allowing that implementation to be just that much more solid.
Now the pressure's on.
But I will say,
Got to the program, we got to the coach. Now you get the numbers.
You're welcome. I'm sorry.
No, I said, we got to the program, we got to the coach, now you got to give us the numbers.
Yeah, we're working on it.
I know.
Other things that we're working on is online. When you look at instructional programs, illustrative math, workshop model, and then you look at the assessments that we use within those programs, you look at things like iReady or STAR assessments, you look at SBAC assessments. They're really 3 similar animals, but not same animals. So getting alignment to the rigor, format, vocabulary is very, very important. So we'll continue to work on that. Differentiation is always front of the discussion. Another saying, we need to accelerate while we remediate. So we need to move things along, but at the same time recognize that kids are significantly behind in some instances. We're working with our early intervention special education teams to provide those individual programs. And I can't say enough about my initial understanding of iReady in the sense that we've administered 2 days of the diagnostic this week, so I've seen that in action. It's very user friendly. Once they take that diagnostic, it gives them a learning pathway. So iReady recommends 45 minutes of time per week in reading, 45 minutes of time per week in math, in school, home, one week, whatever, for it to be effective. So we're engaging our students and getting them into their learning pathway, which is based upon their strengths and weaknesses, based upon the diagnostic.
So does, I'm sorry, so does that mean that kids have access to their iReady at home, so they can do this whenever they want on the weekend? That's cool. And then you can also see kids that maybe aren't able to do that if they don't have the technology or whatever, and then they could just take care of it in school or.
It can all be monitored at the teacher level. And
Awesome.
and the parent level, conversations and stuff. What needs to happen. It then progress monitoring, so as kids are engaged in an online program, if they're doing well, this progresses them forward, but if they're not doing well, it will actually kick it back and say, the technology version is not working. So basically it sends whoever the instructor is recommendations for materials and lesson plans and stuff like that, how to work on it, so that when they get back into the program, they can demonstrate that. So it has a technology component, but it also has a person component. And if you think about that from the sense that who's going to look at that information? Classroom teachers going to look at that information. The early interventionist is going to look at that information. The special ed teacher is going to look at that information. Everybody's operating from the same information and getting the same kind of resources that we're going to the rest of the students. So, really positive about that. Like Rachel said, we're going to administer winter and spring as well. So we'll be able to look at achievement and we'll be able to look at growth, which is kind of my transition into how will success be determined. So when I look at success, it's a body of work. It's not an individual test. It's not only one given day. We need to look at our SBAC results and we can compare the upcoming spring's SBAC results backwards to what kids did last spring. And we're also going to look back to pre-pandemic and compare them to what they used to be. And our goal is to get back there and then a forward upward trajectory. So we're going to look at SBAC results. SBAC this year will also give us growth results because we can look at a student's scale score last spring and their scale score this spring and see how much they've grown. And is it accepted? SBAC will quantify for us. Did they grow enough? Did they grow years? Make the years grow for the years time? iReady is very comparable. Its expectations are based upon Connecticut SBAC Connecticut Common Core expectations. So time will tell, right? But the anticipation right now is if a student is performing at a certain level on iReady, they're going to be performing at a similar level when they take the SBAC. iReady also has growth, so we administered the diagnostic this fall. We administer it in the winter to determine whether kids are making growth or not, make adjustments as necessary, and then also administer it at the end of the year. And hopefully we're going to see the same growth rates on iReady as we do on SBAC. We continued the benchmark assessment system that Rachel was referring to into third grade. So we will use that as a progress monitoring tool and a measure to see if students are growing the expected or hoped for number of levels. And basically in grades 3, 4, 5, they grow 3 levels each year. So we're going to monitor that for third graders. And then of course, teachers have all kinds of information, qualitative, quantitative, anecdotal information they bring to the table all the time. So when we talk about student progress and achievement, that's always part of it. I guess the last thing that I would put in here that we'll use to measure whether we're doing this or not is our action steps. Are we doing everything that we said we will? We're giving it 110%. And if we are, then it is what it is. Flip the page to high impact instructional strategies. In order to achieve those results, growth and achievement, you have to have good instruction going in the classroom. Rachel went through that in detail with the best practices. We'll provide feedback. We're going to monitor how effective it is. The one thing that I would point out here, there's six of these targets, Rachel. 6 of these high impact instructional strategies. Are teachers posting learning targets? Are they posting student success criteria? Are teachers giving feedback? Are students self-assessing? Are teachers asking rigorous high-order thinking questions? And is there a rich classroom discussion going on that students are learning from each other? Based upon the last 3 years that we've been dabbling in this, and dabbling because of in and out of school, right? I've noticed that, typically teachers do what teachers do well. They'll focus the learning target. They'll give the feedback. They'll ask the high-level thinking questions. They'll make sure there's all kinds of different discussion going on. The two that we're focusing on specifically is the student-driven thing. We're looking for student independence. So we're looking to make sure that we have a solid understanding as to what the success criteria look like. And I know that we don't have a common understanding. Because I've had those conversations with teachers, and it's a spectrum. It's continuing. And then secondly, are teachers using those criteria to self-assess themselves? So we're really going to be focusing on making sure those two things are happening, because we're looking to improve that student taking ownership for that. I put a couple of things in there. We walk in your classroom for 10 minutes, we stay in classrooms for 6 minutes, right? So the bottom line is, if we're in a classroom regardless of the time, I'm expecting, hoping that we're going to see at least 4 out of those 6, at least 4 out of those 6 impact strategies present. And again, throughout the course of the year, we're going to have very specific conversations around our student-driven self-assessments. Third bucket, high-quality feedback. Rachel talked about Patrick Flynn coming in, and very valuable professional development for administrators. It's part of the TVAL process, but it's also part of the professional learning community discussions with local teams, departments, providing feedback with regard to how we can improve continuous improvement. Right? Rachel talked about playing action feedback frameworks, utilizing those. And as she mentioned, it's all tied back to the 10 before teaching. So we're just trying to improve the practices that have been in place. Ruler, informational videos on our website if you're interested in taking a look at what it looks like at Oxford Center School. We're using Ruler tools as well. Parent teacher survey at the beginning of this year, 85% of our folks indicated a positive response of 4 or 5. We're going to shoot for higher rating than 6 at this point in time. Not an alarming number, but it was following. Questions?
So when you do your surveys, I mean, I would just assume that if you had things that were 50 or 60%, then that's what would be your target, to go from 95 to 98. So it sounds like you're doing, everyone's pretty satisfied in the surveys, or else those would be your target questions, right? Stating.
What's that?
I guess that's stating the obvious. And are you done or? No, I didn't know. Are you asking me questions? Okay. Are there any questions for you?
I have a question.
Sure.
I was just kind of scanning over here.
Yeah. What page are you on?
What's that?
What page are you on?
I'm on page 3.
Okay.
It's just the, all teachers will provide evidence of student self-assessment opportunities for students to demonstrate direct assessment. How does this direct assessment work? Have I do me? I'm really pretty damn good.
You give yourself an A.
Yes, but generally, not
Yes. So the expectation is that there's a success criteria present. If you're in the classroom, a student can refer to success criteria and say, Mr. Armstrong, I did a pretty good job on the first 3 bullets, but I don't understand this last one. So that's what we're looking for, students to actively present, they can self-assess.
Yeah, just going back a couple of years, everything was team, right? Team concept. Anytime you talk to a group of 5, there's 1 leader, 1 worker, 3 slackers. And so if you're in that group, if we're still using team, where does that self-assessment come in? I mean, there should be part of the team concept that we had before. is that the team leader says,
Cooperative groups.
I don't agree with yourself, that's where you build critical thinking and stuff, and you go, I'm being critical, but you didn't help at all, So where does that all fit into this?
Yeah.
It's conflict resolution.
We go to the ruler bucket.
Well,
The other thing that happens in the classroom is at the end of the lesson, teachers will typically give some sort of an exit ticket to gather understanding as to whether students understood the concept or not. So we can tell, based upon that information. And so if you're the leader of group of 5, your exit ticket is going to be pretty good. If you're the one that riding on the coattails, your exit ticket is going to demonstrate. They don't know the concept, therefore they're not self-assessing. Well,
yeah, I'm just trying to integrate the new chapter with the old chapter. And because team concept generally is, who the leader is. So you don't want that person to be a leader if you're going to self-motivate and improve the team. So I'm just looking to see how, I'm not asking for an answer, I'm just saying, I'm looking at past to the future. This should integrate that pretty well.
Well, what I would say is because of students not being in close proximity for the past year and a half and doing cooperative groups, we're going back to the drawing board to teach the students how to do that at the elementary level. So we're glad to have the opportunity to go back and kind of retool it because we haven't had it for a while.
I have a quick question. You mentioned scaled scores, which I was happy to hear about, because I know we all hear me beat the drum all the time, but comparing percent at goal, nearing goal, et cetera, et cetera. In the past, we did get disaggregated scaled scores and average scaled scores for each grade level. And so I wondered if that was going to be at some point incorporated into your school improvement plans.
Yeah, if you go into the detail in the school improvement plan, you'll see all kinds of success criteria, percentages, and all that kind of stuff.
And where's that?
In the back.
I saw that.
So just a general answer to that.
This is fees.
Oh, okay, I don't think I got that.
Here it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so just a general answer to that.
Okay,
We will be able to compare scale scores for growth purposes. We'll be able to compare scale scores for achievement purposes, and we may code that information. The scale score range is at a grade 3 level. The scale score range is grade 4 level. How many kids are at grade level in grade 4? How many are 1 grade level below? How many are 2 grade levels below? So we'll be able to put that in terms so people can understand achievement rates and growth rates.
Yeah, I know, and I understand the iGrading scoring report system is much more teacher friendly and much easier for people to generate that kind of information. It's great. Sorry about that. I missed this.
So,
No, she's
Shelley, I
good.
wanna- this actually is for both of you. With a math coach role, math coaches, everyone uses them. All the school districts in Connecticut and beyond. But there seems to be different trends of how the math coach is used. And I think the last Board of Ed meeting, the topic came up, and it was that the math coach comes into the classroom, especially with illustrative math, and they're teaching. And so the question I would have is, are they co-teaching the lessons when they come into the classroom, or are they teaching? Because some of the trends are the math coach pulls kids out, or they push in and they take, whether it's the group that doesn't understand it, or they provide, higher level, teaching to maybe a select group, or they teach. And I'm not saying it's happening in Oxford, but it happens where they teach and the teacher kind of disengages during that time period. And I just would like Oxford to avoid some of those traps that happen because districts across Connecticut are getting math coaches and reading interventionists, but how they use them makes all the difference in the world. Because if they're not co-teaching, the teacher's not growing, and we're not getting our best results long-term. So it's not, it's at the beginning of the year, but the hope is that the co-teaching is happening and the math coaches don't fall into some of those traps where they're only either working with a small group, they're impacting the teachers, because I like to think that that's the biggest gain. If you get all the teachers, you elevate them, then everyone wins, versus they can only teach so many kids. We only have one per building, so.
I can respond, it's not one of any of those things, it's combinations of those things, so. Yes, they are in classrooms, and they may do some modeling, based upon a concept that's new in illustrative math, and again, they know illustrative math a month better than everybody else. So they may be ahead of the month to say, hey, let me come in and show you this concept. They definitely are in classrooms co-teaching and maybe supporting the teacher teaching. They also oversee, along with the reading language art coordinator, our early intervention tutors. So they're responsible for making sure that early intervention, students who need early intervention are getting the support that they need from tutors. So they're doing a lot of that pull-out work, small group work, or in-class work that you're referring to. They're also, we're trying to compact and accelerate curriculum for the right side of the bell curve. So yes, they are, and it's much less frequent, but they are providing additional curriculum compacting opportunities for those students who are higher capable.
So there's a balance, you're seeing the balance. It's when the balance is not, handled well, you at times can waste the resource.
The other thing I would say too is that, they're involved in grade level teams, so they're doing professional learning community, guiding that, facilitating that, and providing a lot of knowledge and experience in those conversations as well.
I agree as well. I've seen Aaron, co-teaching with the teacher. I've seen him working with grade levels and going over a specific concept that the teacher wasn't exactly sure how to roll it out within the brand new math program. I've seen him start a lesson and the teacher kind of taking notes as to exactly how it's getting started, and then she sort of picks up and says, oh, now I get it, or this isn't really working. We want that collaboration, we want that feedback. So even if the teacher might be watching a segment of Aaron teaching something, it's then coming back together and talking about it and providing that feedback back and forth. But I don't see it as a cookie cutter, you're only going to do this. I see them also kind of picking out kids that might be struggling, just going over real quick and helping that child out, or the classroom teacher might be working one-on-one with another child. So his role is just, it's grander than just, I'm going to get up there and teach. I don't think any of my teachers would ever allow someone else to teach their class, because that's just, they want to be in control. So I think it's also hard for teachers to kind of give up that control and say, I'm having a little bit of a hard time focusing on this. I'm not exactly sure how to go about doing that. And asking, I think, is a huge step in professional development. So I agree 100%. I don't see any of our math coaches just getting up there and replacing the teacher at all. That's not the point. So certainly engaging in all those different roles. I think it's here and me. We talk about PD that's coming up in regards to math. There are coming down the pike in a couple months. Planning that. So we really kind of do all aspects of school and following up with teachers as part of our SRBA process. We finally just hired our math tutor because we had a person leave. So certainly he was part of that process, and so now he's training her, and certainly part of our Friday SRBI team. I'm sure he's working with the math inspections as well, and making sure that all kiddos are getting whatever they need, whether it's remediation or some type of accelerated math support.
When you take a look at the success of this role, it really needs to be something that really understands that balance. Just like we would expect the teacher to differentiate their instruction in the classroom based on the student needs. Those coaches need to really be able to assess where the teachers are and the students are in the building and alter their approach based on the needs, not only of the teacher, but also the students and where they are in the guys, where they're in the point of the year. In the case with Aaron, he's brand new to the building. So not only is he the math curriculum, he's also developing a relationship that he needs to know and understand how to work with each of those individual teachers. And I met with him last week. I had a conversation with him, and he was able to talk to me about the conversations that he's having with teachers and their understanding the curriculum, the student understanding, and how is he working different with this teacher versus that teacher. And the coaches really need to be able to understand the needs of every single individual teacher. That's going to require altering their approach based upon each individual teacher that's in the building as well.
And just to add to that, too, some of our first year teachers, I have a couple of first year teachers, so that support is huge, almost like we have a mentor. He's going in there to support that, new learning that I've never used this program, and I'm doing something like to come in and just observe, as well as I went there as well too, but just having that math coach there just for that support, so it's really beneficial to the youth.
Any other questions for Dean or Rachel? Nice job. Thank you for coming. And have a great year. I'm sure we'll see you soon, but. Our action, you don't mind if we just carry on while you get your stuff together, right? Take your time, take your time. Yeah, I don't blame you. Start time for Board of Education meetings. I believe we have the motion.
Motion to move the regular Board of Education meeting, start time to 6:30.
Discussion? I was gonna give the process, is that what you were gonna do? Okay, so just so that you know how this came about, we had a retreat last week and, you know, it just was kind of practice that we had meetings at 7 o'clock, but especially in the dead of winter, you know, 7 to 9 and then, well, 7 to 9 and not, more, you know, even longer sometimes. So we just thought by moving it up a little bit, hopefully we're not impacting people's dinners too much, but you know, it gets to be long winter nights, very late. So what needs to happen is we sent a notice to the town clerk that we are changing our start time. So until November 2nd, November 9th, I'm sorry, we'll have special meetings. And all that means is that you can't change the agenda. It doesn't mean that there won't be anything on the agenda. There will always be audience of citizens. Everything will be on here. But there's one piece that can't be on, which is amended to the agenda, because it's a special meeting, you can't amend it. So we have to make sure that everything we want to discuss for those special meetings is on the agenda. So that's all that a special meeting means. And agenda items can only be discussed, and you know, if you put extra things on, you can table them, but you can't add, if that makes any sense. So that's the process. So come November 9th. So we will be having, our meetings will be 6:30 from now on. There'll be special meetings until November 9th, and then they'll just be considered regular meetings. Does that cover it, Dr. Miller?
That's it.
Okay, good. So any further discussion?
I just noticed that we have a meeting on February 22nd, and that's during
I don't have that list.
winter recess.
Oh, it's in here?
It's in the packet.
It's in the packet.
Is that-
That's the Tuesday of midwinter recess. So I don't know if you guys are gonna want to have it on that day or not, because I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna want to finally take a family vacation. So just bring that to your attention.
Sure. It's a budget workshop.
You could-
It's a budget workshop.
Yeah,
So-
you could adjust that.
Or, yeah, or we can see if we have one or whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the calendar? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, Dr. Miller, you're up.
Good evening. And thank you for sticking around for all the reports. Clearly, there's two main issues that our current at stage 4, and that is to understand quarantining and understanding remote learning. What took place last week is that we had several students in our volleyball team that tested positive, and a couple of days later, we had a couple of our football players test positive. On Friday, our first reaction, based upon consultation with our lead nurse and looking at the situation, was to quarantine all of the unvaccinated students. That was the protocol that we had in place. I will explain what identified as in a moment. As the day progressed, we had a conversation with our chief medical advisor, who's also the head of Griffin Hospital, Dr. Brown. And when we learned that the cases that we had during the week were breakthrough cases, these were students that had been vaccinated fully and now had symptoms and now had tested positive. We had 3 breakthrough cases from Wednesday through Friday. He was concerned that this would be the tip of the iceberg, as we could be looking at a major outbreak here in Oxford, primarily in high school, of vaccinated and unvaccinated students and adults potentially being infected with COVID-19. So he immediately gave us the directive to quarantine all of the students, vaccinated and unvaccinated. Now it was late Friday afternoon, and we began notifying all families that now the vaccinated students also need to quarantine. Now, there are 2 different levels of quarantining. There is guidelines established by the State Department of Education and the Department of Public Health. And that is out in what's called the addendum number 5. and I'll reference addendum 5 several times here. The CIAC, which is the athletic league, also has a different set of guidelines for quarantining students. So there's 2 different guidelines that we need to follow. Addendum 5 speaks only to students and adults in school settings. It addresses the type of contact trace that we need to provide and who needs to vaccinate or who needs to quarantine and when, what length of time in schools. The CIEC has rules and guidelines for student participation in athletic events itself. So based upon addendum number 5, any student that's in contact with another person within 3 feet in a classroom, if they're unvaccinated, that contact for 15 minutes or greater constitutes a close contact and immediately requires quarantining,
Even if they're wearing masks?
even if they're wearing masks.
What is the point of the mask?
Wait, hold on, sorry.
The masks mitigate the risk, but doesn't fully 100% take away all the risks associated with it. So we take a look at the close contact. If the students are wearing masks that for under 15 minutes, it's not a big deal. If the students are in lunch, the masks are off for 15 minutes or greater, then that constitutes needing to quarantine a child. Students are asked to quarantine for 10 days. After day 5, they can test out and return after day 7. So they must be home for 5 days, get a COVID test, be negative, and return after day 7. So that's day 8 that they can return. Athletically, the students have a lengthier quarantine based on the CIC. Now, this is something that we keep asking the state to clarify, because students would be asked to quarantine for a shorter period of time in the classroom and allowed to come back to school, but can't participate in athletics for a greater period of time. And we keep asking the state for clarification of why this makes sense, and the explanation that the state provides us to the Department of Health is that students are in greater contact with each other for greater periods of time in closer proximity when they're playing athletic sports.
Now, that's for both vaccinated.
Excuse me, sir, it's really not, it's not an audience of citizens, so it's not an exchange between you and Dr. Miller, I'm sorry. So you have to just listen to him and keep your questions, and then we'll figure out how to answer those, okay?
So there's 2 different sets of guidelines for athletics versus academics inside the classroom. The 3-foot rule is within the classroom, 6 foot is everything outside of the classroom, and we take a look at whether the students are wearing masks, not wearing masks. The addendum number 5 that I referenced before specifically states that vaccinated individuals are not supposed to be quarantined. So after we quarantine all the football players Friday night, vaccinated, unvaccinated, based on the guidance of our chief medical advisor, who told us that this would be tip of an expert, we shut that all down. Saturday morning, I was contacted by our regional health director after I had made a call to her to confirm what we had just done at the state level. And through consultation with our regional health district, Concord Health District, and with the State Department of Education, we were informed that we were not allowed to quarantine the students that were vaccinated. That it was not to quarantine the students, and that we immediately need to lift the quarantine from all the vaccinated students. So we had our local medical advisor telling us quarantine all these students. We had the state and the regional health district telling us we're not allowed to quarantine these students. Now, this reference addendum number 5, addendum number 5, once again, was released by the State Department of Education and the Department of Public Health. That guideline, once again, states that those that are vaccinated and those that are unvaccinated have 2 different sets of rules. Vaccinated individuals, as long as you're asymptomatic, as long as you don't have any symptoms, you do not need to quarantine. The guidelines state if you've come in contact and you're vaccinated, you can return to school. You don't need to quarantine. The recommendation is for that individual to get a COVID test 3 to 5 days after contact. So at that point, we lifted the quarantine on Saturday midday. We had our lead nurse contact all the families to let them know that those children that we had quarantined on Friday night could return to school. So I know that it sounds very wishy-washy, but we really went with the guidance of who our town medical advisor was at the time, consulting with him, and he informed us to do the quarantine for all students. Saturday turned around and we were given alternative guidelines. Every week we have a call with the Department of Public Health and about 15 members of the State Department of Education. That's 8 o'clock Tuesday mornings. In that call this morning, I was actually the first person Anthony was watching me do this. I was the first person to click button with a question, and I think I was the first person that asked. And my question is, how in the world does this make any sense? And what local decisions do we have to make our own decision on quarantine? Because we are being told from a medical standpoint that we should be doing X. You're telling us to do Y. We're seeing evidence of breakthrough cases. Our medical advice is telling us that we have a higher risk in our community right now, and we're trying to safeguard the community more than you're telling us that we can do. How does that make sense? I also then asked the question, if we chose not to adhere to the guidelines of DHS, what are you going to do to us? And I asked that pretty bluntly. And their response to me was, it's a communication issue. And I pushed them even further, and they still refused to answer the question, what would they do to us if we decided to make our own decisions and not to use Addendum 5? So because I did not get a good answer from them, or any answer from the State Department of Education and Department of Public Health, we went about 2 different other courses of action today. My lead nurse contacted the chief virus person in the State Department of Health and asked the critical question. We are being told that this is now considered a cluster case. What is a cluster case? Is that you have multiple different types of vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals in the community at a higher risk of transmission, and the rate of transmission is increasing. So we have a cluster with an individual cohort with 2 athletic teams. We have a number of cases now. Is this considered a cluster case? The response was yes, this is considered a cluster case, but we're not overly concerned because we're seeing this all across the state. Which then also still made no sense to us. Because once again, we're trying to protect the community here. But we're being told, yes, we understand that, but right now the rules are rules, we have to adhere to identify because that's what the rules are. So then I reached out to our attorney for the board. And I said to him, here's Addendum 5. Here's what we're being told by our chief medical advisor. Here's what we're being told by the Department of Health. This is what we're being told by the State Department of Education. What can we do? He then researched from a legal perspective what our options were. And what he said to me was, he believes that we have local authority to make the decisions for quarantine. However, we have to adhere by what the local health region tells us to do or not to do. So if the Concord Health District tells us it's okay for us to not adhere to Addendum 5, we should legally be able to do that, but they need to give us the flexibility to do that. They, as of this point, have not given us the flexibility to alter from Addendum 5. So now we need to have another conversation with Concord Health District and see if they would give us some flexibility. Once again, what that would mean is that if we go down that route, we would then begin quarantining more than just unvaccinated individuals. We'd be quarantining the vaccinated students and staff that we feel are in our close contacts, which would lower the risk of transmission in the community. Yes.
What if you, with all of this information, and thank you, really, I don't know if people really give you credit for how much, you're bombarded with all different directions and you're, trying to do your best, and thank you. What if you guys put together a protocol and said, this is what we want to do. Here's the case, this is what we want to do. And instead of waiting for them to say, don't do Addendum 5, here's what we want to do. Can you approve this? Is that a possibility?
And we can do that, but the Concord Health District still might say, no, we don't want to give you the clearance to do that.
Right, but
That's
then
the
you
next
have the
course.
answer, instead of them not, giving you permission, it's hard for someone to say, don't abide by this
Right.
addendum. But if you say, and it's obviously going to be thorough, if you say, this is what we want to do.
Right.
And this seems, to keep everybody safe and also, not to, overly quarantine kids. And
And it's a delicate balance,
Yeah.
because, the other part of this conversation is students are not learning at the same level at home as they would be in school.
course.
And the best place to learn is for students to be in the classroom. So while we're trying to keep everyone safe, we also know the best way students to learn is to get them inside of the classroom and
Right.
in desk and have a conversation with other students or with teachers. That's the best place for students to be. So it's a delicate balance. We want to quarantine as minimal as possible. At the same time, we need to keep everybody safe.
Right.
So the next part, the next step would be to have a conversation with Dr. Brown, who's our town and school chief medical advisor, the conference
Sorry, what
officer,
is his name?
and
Dr. Brown,
Dr. Brown at Griffin Hospital.
Griffin Hospital.
Griffin Hospital. And also even our attorney can have that conversation and have him share with both of those individuals what our recourse would be. This is all, everyone points fingers at each other saying, you can do this, you can do that. And now we have legal guidance as to what he's telling us his recommendation is. Now, Comprehensive Health still district could still go back to State Farm Education Department of Health, look for their own legal guidance, come back to us and say, we don't have that authority. But our legal guidance as of right now is that we could push back to a degree.
So,
So now we have this situation.
Yes.
And all these other recurring situations previous to this, it still sounds like the struggle that we're having is not been fixed at the state level. It's still the same discussion, same finger pointing, same, and it's not anyone's fault here.
Right.
It's the struggle again with the state not having an organized cookie cutter for these situations. And the goalpost hasn't moved. It's still the same finger pointing that's going on at DPH, CIEC,
like they don't know
and
what.
the health department.
Correct. And I think one of the things that truly has been an important factor from March 2020 to today is that the medical science and the recommendations from all these different agencies, whether it's 100% true or not, changes and has changed drastically from that first day through today. Nothing has remained static. And the guidance that we're dealing with identified is from a month ago. And the breakthrough cases that we're seeing today were not here a month ago when that guidance came out to us what to do. So I'm not too sure the agencies are responding as rapidly as they need to be in order to provide us the recommendations, the guidance that we need to do. And as we're providing that pushback, those questions, and I'm not the only superintendent that's asking questions, across the state, we're all asking the same similar questions. The guidance is not being changed on a rapid basis.
I agree with Stephanie, and I think it also kind of fits into what the parents are asking, is that what's happening is typical, and that's how government works. They make sure they have 4 or 5 different sets of rules that nobody can figure out. So if you're not proactive and say, this is what we want to do, if they have to answer it, and they're going to not be proactive forever. So if we write a guideline, we know that somebody's going to come back and say, no, no, no. But to Stephanie's point, we got to take the initiative. And I think that's basically what the parents here are asking.
Yes.
Stand with, we know you can't solve it.
Right.
But stand with, or really show where you are. And I think that would show where you are.
I know that the structure of meeting does not allow a two-way dialogue between us
Right, so
and
that was my
the
next question.
audience.
So could
Right.
you just give the parents some guidelines, so what you plan to do for when they have questions after tonight's meeting? I know you have some plans to, I think, to address their concerns.
Right. Clearly, a number of you have been reaching out to me directly via email, and I hope that I've been able to respond to your questions, well, not with the answers you're looking for, at least respond. One of the things that was very helpful for us the past year and a half was actually having Zoom and Facebook Live sessions, both with Dr. Brown and with other experts. I think that we need to return to do some of those, either with Dr. Brown and or with the Concord Health District. I think we need to solve this immediate issue in the next couple of days with what agencies allow us to do. But I think returning to some of those evening sessions where you have an opportunity as parents to ask these medical experts directly some of these questions, because I can answer from my perspective, but I'm not answering as a medical
Right.
doctor.
Right.
And so I can't answer all the questions that are out there. So I think some of that would be very
I
helpful.
do too.
And continue to provide me your feedback. I do want you to know that I'm not sitting behind my desk just saying we're going to just walk away. I'm listening to what you have to say. I'm working to advocate on your behalf as much as I can. There are some things that we as a local agency have been told we have no local control, and we are trying to push back to the degree that we can.
Right.
So the more you can give me information and feedback, the more I can give that in the conversation that I'm having as well. And my job is to advocate in the best interest of our students. And you as parents in this community are advocating for your children as well. We need to be working in partnership to support all that.
Right.
And me hearing from you directly helps me in my advocacy of the children in this community.
And can I just add one other thing? I don't know if anybody's paid attention to the news today, but your governor has now been extended his powers until February.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me ask you guys a question. With all due respect, you work for us, you represent our children.
Excuse me,
I
sir,
don't wanna
sir,
ask
sir,
about-
sir,
I
sir,
just-
sir. I'm really sorry,
No,
but
just tell me when.
But we had this.
I just want me to ask you questions, that's all I want to know, just please give me that 10 seconds.
well,
You do work for us and our children, with all due respect, that's all I want to know. Just tell me.
if
and I'll-
you
I'll
are
leave.
going to continue to interrupt the meeting, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Because you need to give us a chance to give you the information. The protocol is that this is not a discussion, that is not the way Board of Educations can
Where do
function.
we have that?
Where do we
So,
have that?
We get that.
We spoke in the beginning,
okay,
it's
I'm
already
gonna have
answered
to
us.
clear the room, because it's just
Can I just say
out of
that?
control.
There's a fo-
Interject, and then
There's-
we're gonna have to clear the room.
There's a format for the meeting, excuse me. There's a format to the meeting. Every meeting is an audience of citizens. Unfortunately, or actually fortunately, it's put in the front so we can get your issues, okay? Now, and I mean this, no disrespect to you guys. I completely hear what you're saying. I sympathize and I feel. There's an audience of citizens. It used to be at the end, like that would be some nights until 11 o'clock, so we moved it up to the front so that we can hear your issues. We then can get them issues and get back to you, whether it's by email from Dr. Miller, which he already just said, if you can't email him your questions, concerns, he's gonna get you some links possibly with the other organizations that are gonna come up, which again, that's very important for everybody. The next meeting at the Board of Education meeting, there's another audience of citizens. So I'm just gonna be respectfully asking, I think no one's being stonewalled here. We're all on the same page. We're all from this community. You're right. We're elected by you. But that's kind of how the format runs. We can't have another audience of citizens after or put something on the agenda that's not there. And that there's other FOI laws that dictate how meetings are run, unfortunately.
And please stop talking from the audience.
So the only way this is gonna change is that we say no, and you just show up, so.
So, but my thing is, we spoke and you had nothing to say back to us. We just want to have a conversation.
All right, so listen, now,
Christie, let's go. You don't start going, just show up, and we don't listen to anything.
again, I am not being disrespectful.
No, but I was not.
All right, so the interaction, there is no wall here.
We came to talk to you.
There is no wall here. He said to
Clearly
you,
a wall. You're not letting us talk.
The nature of a board of meeting is not a two-way dialogue. There are other opportunities to engage.
And this isn't a normal situation either.
It's not a normal situation. We're all.
This isn't just a regular moving back to
We
Kumbaya.
will discuss it with you.
do you want to say Kumbaya as a community?
What, dude, don't be lazy.
I am asking you a question.
We just want to have a conversation.
We're having a conversation about this and you guys are being jerks about it.
We're not, this is a format. It's a public meeting. This is how we
Yes.
We have kids.
We're gonna ask,
The meeting
It's
is
not
closed.
changing, we cannot wait anymore.
This is
We're not waiting
Done.
anymore.
We don't want to wait.
We're not waiting
We
for next week,
want
there's
to
no
have a
recommendation that is a
We
finger
didn't
point,
get
going nowhere.
babysitters and we didn't get.
excuse me, we can continue the meeting and you can finish it, or you're gonna, this is the last warning, the room will be cleared and the meeting will be closed.
She's obviously clearing the.
She's not leaving yet, last time. Do you want to finish the meeting and let us hear you, or we can clear it respectfully?
You're not letting us-
Then that is it. Their format was given to you in respect of having dialogue and solving a problem together. If we don't want to adhere to those rules and we don't want to have uncivil discourse, then this conversation has to be over. And we're still going to fight for you. But this is not helpful. We are on your side.
We've been hearing this for months.
We have.
Do you understand? The state imposes stuff. We are not the enemy on
We
that.
understand that, but
You
we're
don't
frustrated, we're not
understand.
waiting anymore. We are not waiting anymore. His response was, he needs to now present something else, a plan, and we now have to wait and hear from some other
And we
state
have.
level something, which has been, you know, months ago,
So,
we did the same thing.
so you
Asking
want
for a
to,
plan. We still have no
would
plan.
you like to attend the meeting that he's gonna
To do what?
schedule?
We can't speak.
Do you want to attend it and have an informational session?
See everybody here? We all have kids, we're just gonna, no,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
no.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Meeting that, let me record it so you can hear for the time.
What do you want me to say?
Say that.
Oh, motion to adjourn, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, but we are parents here, we want to talk to you. It's out. We wanted to speak to you, and we wanted answers from our children. This was not fair. You should have told us in the beginning. I hate to break it to you, but I couldn't even click on the agenda to find out, because your agenda is not working. You couldn't even find out that that was our one opportunity to open our mouth. We were told you were going to address us, and we would get some clarity, and we could speak to you at that point. Now we're speaking to you, and we're being shut down and dismissed. We're parents. We're done being dismissed. We want answers, and we just want to give you our feedback. Like, I don't need to talk to the medical advisors. I know what's going on. I have plenty of friends that are in the medical field. We want to talk to, who do we talk to? Who's here to help us? It's frustrating. We have children that are crying and kids that are afraid to leave the house because the government is convincing them that they need to wear masks. I have 2-year-olds that wear masks to dances.
Well, now set up a meeting as an opportunity to understand this type of. And I want to try to get some ground in that meeting. But it takes some but the decision for this is not affecting them. The decision on this is affecting them. We can have that dialogue. I will work with these, we'll work on setting up studios, and we'll get that going. The hours that we can do, right? We know
We're done, so much.
During the meeting, talk to us for 10 minutes, make us feel better, and we're all happy. Instead of getting angry.
So I think it happened, so I'm gonna be quiet. And close the meeting.
It could be open, it can be outside.
Be careful with your. Be careful with how you. I don't have to. Very careful. Be careful. There's nothing wrong with that. It's what be careful. There's a certain format that you have to follow.
Let's not hold. We do a Sunday afternoon at the school and nobody's, and everybody come and meet and, you know, speaking on Zoom, it's so in person. I feel like it's so tight and we're sitting together, we're talking. We want to talk. I want to see your face and feel the presence of everybody that's around me and have a conversation. Let's not do a board event meeting. Let's do a community meeting. This center
we have our own. But I have a consolidation question. Why does the Commonwealth Health District have total jurisdiction to dictate every facet of the program of how this district conducts work?
Because that's very difficult. State.
What gives them the authority to tell us what to do? Right? No. Everybody's afraid.
And it's a reward.
This entire town. And what I will say, in thousands of people around town, they have your parents and the board back. If you guys stand up for our children and say, enough, I think it's important to note that this country is the only Western country, including Canada, that subjects children under the age of 10 to menstruation at any time. This is every country. That includes every country in the world. It puts the entire Western world, and there is no difference in infection rates in any of those countries. And like she said, only one of 7 states that subjects young children to that kind of abuse. And it's for zero benefit, because we could have heard about it, like with all those officers that aren't just massive, about how much higher their infection rates. We haven't heard those stories. Believe me, if it were true, we would hear it, and I'm really
So I'm just gonna start sending my no matter. You're not. So we have to at some point just say no. We have nowhere else to go but to say no.
I mean, you have the incredible saying. You know, appreciate you are so.
Donate to my turn.
Rapidly number of so I think that that's another consideration for whether you interact or not. Karen, you just, right, so the state not keeping up with, like, I take a break, like, all the insurance companies, they're all pushing you all over the place. But, you know, what I'm hearing, so I have my last child. So from what I'm hearing, we're on the street, children that were vaccinated, or at least one of them. So that child, I asked to for it to until they were okay, so it's the, so that these children are vaccinated. So from what I'm understanding, so far this year, the vaccinated children have caused more quarantine than the unvaccinated. Right, so, but that's what I'm saying, like, none of it, and what about the testing? Yeah, what about the testing too? Well, apparently, we did that. Well, then, she can that. Well, you know, but in contact, right? So you're testing the unvaccinated, it seems like the vaccinated are still potentially carrying the virus. Why aren't we tested too?
So why are we following? I mean, we call the entire town, we do all the same, not paying property tax. I'm sure this policy will change like that. I'm going to get that, it's 60,000. I'm sure we can make $1 million with no property tax growth there. I mean, if they want to go by money, it's funding, they'll go by money, it's funding. But you said yourself, it makes no sense. They're isolating poor kids that have the choice of not get vaccinated. It's a choice that they have. and they're clearly being pushed. And their friends know, okay, so there are kids being bullied because of it. So if you're a leader, and you send out the email that you don't handle, I think someone used the racist word a few weeks ago, and we don't handle that, right? And we don't tolerate it, it's not in our policies. We're pushing kids out there now, in the corner, bullied by their friends, because they don't have a vaccine. That's their choice, but you're isolating them, and all their friends know it. You know it, the teachers hear it, they know it. So now these poor kids are getting bullied over it. Why? Just say no. Quarantine everybody, and if they fight, then you say, okay, everybody go to school. Just say no. Yep. Right? Vaccinated and vaccinated, just like the unvaccinated. So we just say no.
Right, that's that feeling.
Now, we're at the point
Yeah. symptoms that has COVID. And you're vaccinated, you're still. You're vaccinated, you're not gonna get sick, but you have to test in 3 days, and during those 3 days, are you supposed to be quarantined? No, but then. Actually, you're doing more harm. Thank you all for your time. It's less than probably just anybody has. Thank you. Anyway. Thanks for your time.
So they moved the mall, also. Well, yeah, the market is better. I don't have to think.
I explained, I go, you didn't understand. I said, by giving you the phone out, that we get it, hearing it, and then we can get back to you with the price of the ones or something. This is kind of digest. It's about.
Thanks for sending me that.
No, I've never given you guys any note to try, that's for sure.
It's the way it did. It's those questions I had. I was gonna ask them. Right. That's how it could have also.
Exactly. But you heard what I said to say before it. I said the same. No, listen.
I've been fine, folks. I think they're all full of shit, number one. Number two is I try to ask questions of the thing. My questions are a little bit more, not down the middle for them, respectful, we're not down the big one. So next time I'll raise my hand.
That's why I talk. I say my questions. And I also raise my hand and then they come back on me first.
We don't do.
Not gonna be what?
Communication model? Listen, I mean, probably our philosophy is different a little bit, but there's got to be gray area stuff. And what is the statement actually mean?
Here's my problem. We have all these translation that are, one of us is quarantine.
And then there's another small sign, another group.
There's other trying to say, why are you quarantining my child? Why did you do that? So we have two camps here, and then the old camp that goes that direction, and another camp that's the problem. It's pretty analysis there.
I told them, I said, I would tell you, tell them to call Mario and Martell. I go, they agree with you. They talk to the people of the Hartford. There's no big fit on it. I go there, and all you can get, guys, I said, DPH, there's out of them, there's only one who's ever played sport. Out of all the doctors that sit on DPH, guess who's the sport is? Close. That's as socially distant as any sport you can possibly throw in a field besides ball. But that's me. I didn't want to tell you, but while I was texting you, because I was out Friday, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I was like, and then Glenn, I talked to Glenn whatever once in a while, and I'm like, so yeah, you were getting back to the same answers as my phone was pulling up from him and everything else. And I'm like, and then I'm sitting with a state rep, and I'm getting hearing from what they were saying, and I'm like, well, I'm glad to make your first meeting. Only get better.
Yeah.
The one gentleman, like, when you heard what we said 3 months ago, you know our position. The other people that were here never heard. You're trying to be here.
I know.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. I don't want to get into it. So, you know, he's normally on Zoom.
When you have entire boards of board meetings.
He's the new guy.
The other thing they did. Looking for 2 people.
Yeah, but that's, yeah, it's not.
I think talking to them.
Yeah. This depends on the board, but one of my favorite heroes presents.
And you know, it's involved. Things like 50% is determined by parent choice, 35% absolutely should not be in school, period, or 15% is the moral consent. 85% is town says. For choice. And you ready to go. That was 600 surveys. 680 surveys. Yes. It doesn't count for you.
Hey, I got to do like de-escalation school.
There you go. Hey, Joe. So did I.
You did a good job.
Very good.
Nice seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Well, I guess we should clear our calendar tomorrow.